Hi, I'm Megan from VEXED, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my dream tour lineup. So firstly, on my tour lineup, I would have to say I'd have to choose Alpha Wolf. Alpha Wolf are currently my favourite band who I listen to every day. They're probably the only good thing to have come out of 2020 for me. A Quiet Place to Die is an absolute banger. So yeah, definitely Alpha Wolf. The biggest reason for having them is they've come over to the UK a couple of times now, and each time I have booked tickets to go see them and fucking missed them every time, and it is the most frustrating thing because like I'd leave my work early or I'd book the day off so that I could drive down to whatever venue they were playing, and I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 times now, but each time when we've walked into the venue they're fucking packing down their stuff and getting off the stage, and it's the most infuriating thing because I cannot tell you how much I want to see them live. So Alpha Wolf would be the first, and they'd also have to be the second and the third and the fourth. They'd have to play after each band just to make sure that I see them. Second band on the lineup would have to be King 810 or King 810 or King 810, however you say it. They are one of the coolest bands in my opinion, in this industry. And I fell in love with them quite a few years ago now, but especially when they brought out their album La Petite Mort. We got given an early copy of the CD. I don't know how it ended up in our hands. It's a really random story, but it did. A friend of the family got handed this CD, and I was listening to it before it had been released. Please don't kill me, David Gunn. And it was like the fucking most groundbreaking thing I'd heard, and I completely fell in love with Dave's vocals and his sort of storytelling and his spoken word stuff, and that sort of juxtaposition between the spoken word and then his screams. It's just mind-blowing. And I've seen King play I think 2 or 3 times now, and each time it's just an experience. It's so cool. And the thing I really appreciate about them live is that you can kind of see that David is an introverted person. He doesn't particularly enjoy talking to the crowd or being a chatty performer. So it's really cool seeing how an introvert brings what they bring to a live show. It's a different kind of live show. It's an ominous yet huge performance. So yeah, King 810 would be the second one. Third band I would have to choose for my dream lineup would be Emmure. Emmure I have loved since I was about 16, but I fully became a massive fan when I saw them at the Electric Ballroom in 2011, and they were supporting Suicide Silence with Mitch Lucker. And I knew a couple of their songs then, but I wasn't like a diehard fan. And they came on stage, and I've never seen a more fucking angry face than Frankie Palmieri that night. I don't know what he was going through that day, but he was clearly not a happy man. And he just teared that fucking venue apart. And I remember thinking, this is the best live show I've ever seen. Still to this day, that show was the best show I've ever seen. The lighting was insane. The music was insane. And like, I think it speaks volumes when you don't know a band that well, but they still manage to make a fan and make you love them and become like the biggest fan when you hardly know them. And the fact that I'd never seen them before, not really heard them, and that's still today my favourite show I've ever been to, says a lot. So yeah, Emmure would definitely have to be on this tour lineup. I'd say Frankie as well is one of like my biggest vocal inspirations. I just love angry performers. So him for me would be very cool. Yeah, I would love that. And finally, the last band I would take on tour for my dream tour lineup would have to be the obvious Thy Art Is Murder. Thy Art are just the kings of metal, I think, and they just bring something to the table that nobody else does. We obviously worked with CJ before we were signed and when we did our release for the song Elite, and we did it all off our own back, and he was the most kindest, most patient person I think I've ever worked with, considering that we were and still are nobody. He was so lovely to us and took all the time we needed to get the vocals right how we wanted them. And then when we filmed with him to do the video as well, he was just so sweet and just said, however long you need, you know, we'll work till we get it done. And it's just mad that thinking somebody as huge as him and their band could be so kind and actually give a shit about a band as small as us. So Thy Art Is Murder will always have like the most loving place in my heart. And the way CJ performs, like his vocals speak for himself. Like nobody needs to say that his vocals are good. Everybody knows his vocals are good. They're insane. But there's something about his like charismatic demeanor, and he goes from being super evil sounding and massive sounding on stage to then cracking jokes in between. And he's just so charismatic and lovely, and that kind of, he's like that off stage and on stage. So he's just completely, what you see is what you get. And they should be headlining all the festivals at the moment. They're going to be like the next big four, I think, or just big Thy Art, that's it. Nobody else. So yeah, Thy Art would be my final band for the Dream Tour lineup. So altogether, got Alpha Wolf, then King 810, then Alpha Wolf, then Immure, then Alpha Wolf, then Thy Art Is Murder. And that's my Dream Tour lineup. Thank you so much for watching my Dream Tour lineup, and thank you Digital Tour Bus for having me. If you're interested in checking out my band VEXED, we just dropped our debut single from our upcoming album called Hideous, so please go check that out. Our debut album Culling Culture comes out May 21st.